Eldorado Park residents have long complained and protested about high crime and drug abuse in their communities. Recently, protesters camping outside the police station in an effort to pressure authorities to take action. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi interacted with some of the demonstrators there. We're now joined by community leader Dereleen James. Dereleen, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. So more broadly, you've been raising the issue of crime and the community that has seen an infestation of drugs and drug lords. Let's talk about some of the announcements that have been made by Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi around how his government plans on responding to this issue.
Hi there, Kathy, and thank you so much for giving us this opportunity again. I think for us, when Panyaza came, we expected a simple meeting and a response to our demands. Instead, we had people bust in, we had all the trimmings, and no response, basically. If you listen to the Premier's response, it's a very high-level response. It speaks to what's going to happen in Gauteng, but nothing has been made specific to Eldorado Park. They've given us a letter, a document with their responses, where we've asked for additional resources for our police station, and they've basically said that we have enough resources, meaning that we have 63 vehicles, but without actually verifying with the station to find out how many of these 63 vehicles are actually on the ground. Most of these vehicles, more than 80%, is actually in the garage. They have come back to us with a response document based on a population of, I think, 36,000 people, residents in Eldorado Park, and if it's only 36, that means it's only responding to the learners in the area. Eldorado Park has a population of over 200,000 residents. So that's the type of shabby response that we have received from the Office of the Premier.
So you're not satisfied then with the response that you have received? You don't feel it goes far enough in addressing the issues that you were raising?
No, absolutely not. The response speaks to, we've asked for services in terms of addressing abuse of the elderly as a result of the high drug abuse in our area. And they said to us, no, Gauteng has 300 homes that assist the elderly, only to find that those homes are also under-resourced, and we don't have social workers. So even if we do have those homes, there's no social workers. There's a very low rate and response time from social workers. So our problems haven't been met. It hasn't been addressed. We've asked as well for a integrated response. We've asked for the mayor, we've asked for the premier, and we've asked for national. To date, we're sitting instead that our garbage isn't being picked up in Eldorado Park because some of the trucks apparently are being repossessed. We've had the change in government. We've met with the current, I even get confused when it comes to mayors. I don't even know who's here right now. But anyway, we've had the mayor come to us and tell us that she will respond to us within the next 2 weeks. And 2 weeks later, she was out of office, and we had a new mayor. And the new mayor came and addressed us, and he said, you know what, he's going to come back to us also within a week's time. And now we sort of left wondering what next. It's 66 days later, camping outside of the police station. At this stage, Kathy, it's not just the community of Eldorado Park. It is Westbury, it is Reiger Park, it is Lenasia, it is Annandale. It is all of those communities that have taken a stance against the ongoing neglect in our areas.
So ultimately, Dereleen, when it comes particularly to this project around helping young people who are battling substance abuse, you don't feel that the way that it is being rolled out currently responds to the immediate needs of a community like the one that you are in?
No, if you look at the Premier's response to substance use disorder in Gauteng, the Premier is doing a mass intake of substance users, which goes totally against the country's response document, which is the National Drug Master Plan, which speaks to the principles of it must be people-centered, you must keep people's human rights, adhere to people's human rights, and him taking a whole lot of service users and saying that we are taking them to a farm. It's as if you're saying everyone affected by cancer or HIV, get onto a bus, we're going to take you to a farm for 6 months. When it comes to substance use disorder, specialized treatment is needed. It's not something where you just take people away for 6 months. and, think that that's the end of the story. You need to have a conducive environment for those people to actually thrive and progress when they come back into the community. I don't see any of that happening. What happens when those people come back? What are the opportunities for them? That's an holistic approach. Taking them to a farm, I don't even know where this farm is. Most of the time, the toll-free line hasn't been working. So it's really disturbing.
What are the pillars of support that you think need to exist in the community to ensure that this program is successful? Because I would imagine that there would be some families in an area like Eldorado Park that would have taken their children to rehab centers, etc. But in some instances find that they relapse and, go back to some of their old habits.
Obviously, when it comes to support, one would like to include the family and ensure that the family journeys with the service user, to deal with past guilt, hurt, and trauma. Not just the family needs to be empowered and educated in terms of, what are the expectations, how to deal with relapses, but also, like I said earlier on, the community needs to be conducive for recovery. Meaning that, the ongoing crime, meaning that there needs to be opportunities, meaning that the community actually needs to look like a well community. And we're not seeing that. We need more opportunities. We need jobs. It's not just a matter of taking people to rehab and that's where it ends. There's a lot of education that also needs to go into it. Us as a community and as the Yes Movement, we are structuring our community in terms of we are empowering the NGOs, the FPOs, in terms of playing our part. We are doing that. We have been doing that for the past 66 days so that we can make sure that we too play our part in fixing our community. We're not just saying government must do it and we're not just waiting for handouts, but we are saying, what, government, play your part. You have failed not only Eldos, it's not a colored thing or a black thing. It affects all of us as South Africans. And all we're saying to government is do what you are meant to do, fulfill your legal mandate to us as community.
And lastly, Dereleen, do you believe that you've been brought into the process enough as a community? And I know we're using you just as one example here, really.
You still see yes, we have been brought into the approach, but it's like you brought into an approach when a decision has already been taken. So include us, have a bottom-up approach. Let us sit at the table, let us negotiate, and let us deliberate on how things need to be rolled out. Don't come to us and having made a decision and say to us, this is what we will be doing in your community. And that is without even taking the time to profile the community. I think that's, for me, that was the most shocking part, coming with a response without actually delving deeper into the community and seeing what services do they have and where are the shortcomings. I mean, I made the perfect example to you with SAPS, where they say to us, you have 35 detectives, but without mentioning that the caseload of those detectives, where they sit with over 400 case dockets, and that is not just at the police station in Eldorado Park, that is across the board. So resources remains a challenge, and even the station commander remains a challenge that has a closed door policy, Brigadier Maluleka.
All right, Dereleen James, let's leave it there for tonight. She is, of course, a community leader in Eldorado Park.